Jadual harian Hana selalu sibuk. Jadi, saya kekal sihat dengan Vida C. Dengan vitamin C yang cukup setiap hari, tiada apa pun yang boleh menghalangi saya. Minumlah Vida C, perlindungan sistem imun anda.
Good evening and welcome to Kini News. The suspension of Parliament is one of the most controversial issues surrounding the announcement of the nationwide emergency by Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin last month. Why is Parliament suspended though? Even Deputy Dewan Rakyat Speaker Azalina Othman is bewildered by that question.
Dewan Rakyat Deputy Speaker Azalina Osman Said has written a letter to Attorney-General Idrus Harun regarding the suspension of Parliament. In the letter, she questioned why Malaysia is unable or refused to find ways to facilitate Parliament sitting like other nations. She said that instead of improvising so that parliamentary proceedings can take place, the government has instead decided to suspend Parliament. And if that wasn't enough, the Attorney General's Chambers has advised the government that all activities of committees established in Parliament, including special select committees, can no longer continue even if they are conducted virtually. She added that Solicitor General 2 Siti Zainab Omar's advice effectively prevents MPs who are part of select committees from investigating or scrutinizing issues. This has led to the emasculation of the legislature, and the executive appears to have a free rein over the country's affairs while the emergency is in force. Azalina pointed out that almost all other countries, including those with high number of COVID-19 infections, have not suspended their parliament. And based on these points, she urged the AG to consider advising the government to suspend the duties of the current cabinet and replace it with the appointment of a special emergency cabinet.
Though we won't be seeing a parliament sitting for a while, a DAP MP has called for the next sitting to be held in May, and he has a plan on how that could be done.
DAP's Kota Kinabalu MP Chan Foong Hin has called for the next parliament session to be held in May. In a statement today, he said this is as all elected representatives, including those from the opposition, will be eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine under Phase 1 of Malaysia's National Immunisation Programme. He added that upon completion of Phase 1 of the said immunisation programme, there is no longer any reason to withhold or suspend parliamentary sittings. Chan said that Phase 1 will run from February 26 until April, so Parliament should reconvene immediately after that in May. He said, with the vaccination, MPs would be able to safely carry out their duties without the need to worry about getting infected or unknowingly transmitting the COVID-19 virus to others. He argued that there are many agendas that are overdue, such as the tabling of the 12 Malaysia Plan and even the tabling of a supplementary budget for 2021 to deal with the increase of COVID-19 cases. He added that many people are getting angry that MPs are still receiving their monthly salaries despite not having to attend any parliament sessions. Parliament was suspended during the nationwide emergency announced on January 12th. The emergency took effect on January 11th and will last until August 1st.
Now, while we're on the topic of the vaccine, Coordinating Minister for the National Immunisation Programme Khairi Jamaluddin claims that the deal we have with Pfizer has a variant clause for an upgraded vaccine. What is that? We'll let him explain.
Secondly, on the vaccine variant clause, there is in the existing agreement with Pfizer such a clause. When I negotiated, I ensured that if there was an upgrade based on new variants, then our existing contract would cover vaccines that are upgraded or new kinds of vaccines from Pfizer. In light of mutations and variants. It's similar with the other vaccine contracts as well. We've secured contracts which will enable us to get upgraded vaccines in light of variants and mutations.
Well, earlier you heard that a DAP lawmaker has called on parliamentarians to get vaccinated so that a parliament sitting can take place. A PKR lawmaker has criticized the plan to prioritize lawmakers for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Bukit Tengah Assemblyperson Gui Xiao Lung said that Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin's decision for all MPs and assemblypersons to be given the COVID-19 vaccine in Phase 1 of the rollout plan is totally unacceptable. He said, Muhyiddin's justification that it was because of the nature of their work was utter nonsense, and also denounced the move as being unethical, indecent, and downright wrong. He said the government should stick to the original 3 phases of vaccination. Phase 1 for frontliners and medical health workers working in high-risk environments. Phase 2 for the vulnerable group, the elderly aged 65 and above, and those with medical conditions. And Phase 3 for the rest of the adult population above the age of 18. While it was acceptable for senior government officials to get the vaccination early to prevent any risk of major disruption in running the country, he questioned why all elected representatives, regardless of their age or health status, should be given preferential treatment. He added that if it is the intention of the government to promote public confidence in the vaccines and follow official protocols, then His Majesty, the King, and all the rulers should be vaccinated first before the Prime Minister. The PKR lawmaker said elected representatives can still carry out their daily responsibilities like everyone else by strictly following the SOPs. He added that priority for the vaccine should be for the doctors and nurses who are risking their lives for us. By allowing lawmakers to jump the queue, Gui charged that Muhyiddin is not promoting public confidence or gaining public trust in the government's national vaccination plan.
The Bersatu UMNO feud continues, this time with Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin demanding an apology and compensation from an UMNO Supreme Council member over something that the latter wrote on Facebook.
Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin sent a letter of demand to UMNO Supreme Council member Muhammad Puat Zarkashi yesterday. This was over Puat's Facebook post alleging double standards in COVID-19 procedures. Muhyiddin demanded a public apology and a compensation of 10 million ringgit for allegedly defaming him through the post. According to Bernama, in the letter of demand dated February 16th, the Prime Minister demanded Puat to remove his posting on February 9th from his Facebook account. Muhyiddin's lawyers said the post contained untrue, unwarranted, unsubstantiated, and mischievous statements against Muhyiddin. Referring to the Prime Minister's recent official visit to Jakarta, the letter of demand reportedly stated that Puat's post implied Muhyiddin had refused to self-quarantine for 10 days and led to Health Minister Dr. Adham Baba's new order. Puat was reportedly given 7 days to remove the posting, provide an unequivocal public apology on Facebook, news portals and social media, as well as provide a written undertaking to cease and not repeat such publication of the same nature and pay compensation of RM10 million. The letter of demand also threatened Puat with up to 2 years jail term and fine for criminal defamation under Section 500 of the Penal Code. When contacted, Puat claimed he had yet to receive the letter of demand.
Women, Family and Community Development Minister Rina Harun is believed to have recently paid off million ringgit debts over just 15 months. While that sounds like an achievement, a DAP Assembly person wants to know how she did it.
DAP's Canning Assembly person Jenny Choi has called on Women, Family and Community Development Minister Rina Harun to explain her source of wealth. This came after Rina repaid million ringgit debts in order to halt a bankruptcy action. Choi had raised the question based on the asset declaration list published for public view by the MACC. She said Rina should explain how she managed to accumulate sufficient wealth and funds to pay off the huge debt in a short period of 15 months. This was as the assets declaration data showed that Rina's assets stood at 72,000 when it was made public on November 20th, 2019, with an income of 34,000 ringgit a month. She added that if Rina's income remained unchanged from 2019, it would take 40 months for her to accumulate the fund to settle the debts in the bankruptcy notice. And this was provided that she didn't spend a single cent from her income. Choi then questioned if Rina had made a false declaration in November 2019 on her assets. Yesterday, it was reported that Rina has settled her debts to a Paris-based film company. She was earlier served with a bankruptcy notice for debts amounting to around 1.3 million ringgit. Free Malaysia Today quoted a lawyer representing Saral Novovision, the Paris-based film and television program production company, as saying the minister had settled her debts last week. However, the lawyer declined to disclose the exact outstanding amount paid by Rina. The firm had filed a suit against Rina on November 8, 2018, demanding that the full amount be paid by July 31, 2019. She had earlier been served with a bankruptcy notice.
And that's a wrap for Kini News this evening. For more stories, go to KiniTV.com. Don't forget that we also post the latest headlines to our social media on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. So follow us there to get the latest news updates as well. Don't forget your mask if you're going out, and if you can, please do stay home. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe, Malaysia.